Colin, thank you for joining me today.
No problem.
Pleasure to have you here.
Yeah.
We'll jump right into it. For yourself, what do you see as the most significant challenges that you're going to face over the next 12 months?
It's a funny question to ask. What am I going to face over 12 months? Architecture is a very slow
Yeah.
business, or so I know all the projects I'm going to have for the next
You
12
know
months.
everything that's going on
Well,
next 12.
sort of. It feels that way.
Okay.
And so the projects that we've got on the table right now are still going to probably be there
Yeah.
in 12 months in a different phase.
Yeah.
But so in terms of the challenges, they're the daily challenges. A 12-month problem is a daily problem, which is permits, contractors, weather, just the life of building stuff in architecture. So those will be the challenges. Permits is the biggest one,
Really?
for sure, and that goes. We used to think it was sort of a local problem to where we practice, but it's seemingly broader than that. And people will complain about authorities having jurisdiction in terms of not giving these permits, but buildings are inherently more and more complex, and more can't fit into zoning bylaws and building codes and stuff. So it is actually harder and harder for our authorities to actually give permits for the work, and so it is the biggest struggle. But I think it's a struggle for them too. I don't think it's done intentionally. Like sometimes we think, oh, they don't want to give us.
From the sounds of it, you seem like you're seeing both sides of it, though. You understand the need for it. Maybe you don't want.
Yeah, no, it is. There is a need. There's absolutely a need. Do I think we maybe need to? I think the pace of change is outpacing our authorities,
Right.
and that puts us into conflict. And sometimes we think that conflict is sort of we take it personally. I don't think that's the case. But does that mean it doesn't need to change? It absolutely needs to change. We gotta be able to catch up with the pace of change, or slow down the industry. But that's not likely going to happen. But somehow we've got to address this.
Okay, so then maybe switch gears, get out of this 12-month window.
Yeah.
Let's go 12 to 24 months.
Sure.
What do you see the idea then as far as opportunities go?
So opportunities. We're in Winnipeg, is where we practice, but we actually have a number of projects in Calgary.
Okay.
The opportunities seem to be coming more frequently for good, innovative projects, and I would expect that to continue for the next 24. We've been strangely been doing a lot of interior work as architects, where we'll partner with interior design, etc. But they're looking for it's not just interior but exterior buildings, a lot of adaptive reuse. These are the things that keep coming up more and more, in addition to standalone new builds.
Right.
And so I feel like architecture is our scope is sort of broadening, and people want the level of thinking, the type of engagement that we do more and more, and I would expect that to continue over the next 2 to 5 years.
So are you seeing a positive trend towards innovation across your industry and with your competitors and with the owners you're dealing with for the most part?
I would say yes, but it's absolutely, we are seeing a softening towards it, but it's still hard work. It's still, okay, but how do I get rid of this risk, or how do I, and so it's not just let's go, let's do it, but there is a softening to it. People are trying to differentiate themselves in the market. They see design as a way to do that. People are seeing that there's a more informed consumer of buildings, and so we're seeing that everywhere, right? In retail, in all sorts
across the board,
all sorts of markets. The consumer, the client, whatever the end user is becoming a lot more informed, and they don't want just the same old stuff fed to them, right? So architecture and buildings and developers have to catch up.
For better or for worse?
I think it's for better.
Yeah,
I do. I think once we get a more responsive, engaged sort of public, we're going to get better buildings.
Okay, nice. So then with that kind of evolution of the nation of the consumer, what urbanization and development trends do you see over the next decade?
So I'm going to give you one that I hope happens, and I hope we change our approach to the car.
Okay.
Which is not a terribly popular topic.
Yeah.
People love their cars. I love my car. We love driving them. We don't want to ever be slowed down. We don't. We want a place to park wherever we show up. But I think we're starting to realize that cars are really sort of killing cities and killing life in cities. And so I hope the trend that we see
You've been on the Deerfoot here in Rush Hour?
I have.
It's not fun.
It's a disaster. I've been on the whatever it is, the QEW or the whatever in Toronto and Winnipeg. We have our own issues, but we've sort of catered to the cart for decades now, and it's not working. We're still frustrated driving. We still want more
Maybe
parking.
more frustrated.
Even more, and yet we have destroyed our pedestrian environments. We have seas of parking lots that you can't walk to. Like, you go to any sort of suburban commercial development, and if you want to go from one store to the other, you have to get back in your car and drive to a store that might even be adjacent to each other. It doesn't make sense. I hope we got to get rid of our parking lots. We got to get rid of our cars and get rid of these massive streets. I hope that trend happens, and we're seeing it. But
what's your solution for that? How do we go about that?
we got to build more livable cities.
Okay.
And so if we keep building further and further away from our core, we're in trouble, and that's what's caused all this trouble.
Right.
We need to densify the core. Once if you live where you work and where you play and then the car stays in the garage, and you might not even buy a car. Like in our office, there's 20 of us working there, professionals, all with good career salaries.
Yeah.
It's less than half own a car,
Really?
for sure,
Wow.
and less than that again drive to work, and they bring their bikes, they walk, or they take public transit, and it changes the way they live. Now you have to live closer to the core.
Yeah.
You have to make choices in terms of how you're gonna do life,
Yeah.
but it works. And the interesting thing, my partner Johanna Herme is championing this in Winnipeg, and it actually helps both of us in
Okay.
terms of, if we get less people off the streets, there will be more room for the cars that don't get off the streets.
Right.
So if we can densify our neighborhoods, and if all those people, if we take half a car out every time somebody lives downtown or lives in a more urban neighborhood, that car comes off the street for the person who's driving in from the suburban development. And so it actually helps both of us. And if we can shift our thinking to understand that the more bikes on the street are not a hindrance to the cars, that means that's less cars on the street, and you will have more room to drive. And it's a proven thing. It does actually.
That's an interesting thought.
It does work.
I understand. You need to have a lot of buy-in, though, I feel like, to make that.
Education, buy-in, it starts at the top. Our municipalities have to be pushing for this.
Yeah.
But I hope it's a trend that we see.
You think it can work here with
Yep.
with as much snow as we get? You think
Totally.
you can make that wholesale switch?
Fully. Totally believe it. I know Vancouver's not a good example because they don't get the same weather, but just because we have weather doesn't, we hide behind these things.
Yeah.
I actually think. And so clear the bike lane just like you clear the street.
I guess.
And get out there.
That's what you need to do.
It was interesting. We had Jan Gale, an architect and urban planner, and sort of famous and well respected from Copenhagen. He's helped many cities do this, and like one of the last cities that their office worked for was Moscow, which has many of the same challenges that the Canadian city would have, and it's working there in a almost utter chaos, that city, in terms of density and all this stuff. So it can work.
Okay.
He said a very interesting thing though, and he's like, cars can drive through snow better than a bike can drive through snow. So the first thing that should be cleared is the
bike path.
Is the bike path, because if that guy has an accident, he dies. If you have an accident in your car, you have a bad day.
Yeah.
And so anyways, clear the bike paths first, and I think you can.
That's an interesting thought. I'm born and raised rural Alberta, so
Yeah. So you're not seeing it.
I'm not quite seeing it with you,
No.
but I understand. I can see the positive outcome of it if it were to be put into effect.
And it
in the
doesn't mean
proper way.
eliminate it. It just means build our cities denser
Yeah.
so that we're always going to have cars. Like
Yeah.
I live within 5 minutes of downtown, and I have 4 kids and a family, and I got 2 cars, but I don't have to drive them all the time.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that we eliminate the need for them. But if we can eliminate some of the needs for them, it gets them off the street. It reduces the burden. You don't have to drive everywhere. You can walk.
Makes
once in a while.
sense.
So,
Makes sense.
anyway,
Okay.
okay. So that's soapbox.
So yeah,
Cars.
back cars,
Yeah.
cars soapbox. I like
Yeah.
it. So maybe something that might contribute. What new technology or trend in the building industry then do you think will be the next game changer?
Yeah, we could stay on that topic. I met a really interesting guy from Estonia.
Yeah.
This would have been 2 or 3 years ago, and they were piloting a program to take the whole country off to no private ownership of cars.
Oh,
anymore,
really?
And go to driverless. Like, this is radical. They
that's-
went. So as a country, they were thinking of going to driverless cars as a public infrastructure.
Yeah.
And this, so could that be it? We're ways away from that, but it certainly would be.
I understand the benefit though. If I could just have a driverless car and just sleep for half an hour
Yeah.
on my drive home, that'd be fantastic instead of
And-
driving in rush hour.
Their study, like, and who knows if the math is perfect, but it said it would reduce the amount of cars by 90%.
Really?
And they figure the wait time would be under 5 minutes. Now, I had a conversation with the guy, but
Interesting, though,
but
nonetheless.
even if those numbers were doubled or tripled, it wouldn't
Yeah.
matter. It would be a dramatic
Oh, yeah.
decrease. It would, and it's just that's a radical shift in our thinking from this sort of car ownership, private, like this is me, sort of conquering the world,
Yeah.
to maybe there's a more humane way of doing this. So we'll see. Maybe
Somebody's got to push the envelope though for that change to happen.
maybe
You know?
that's a way.
or something to lead us in that direction, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a positive direction. That's the whole goal, is a positive outcome, right?
Right. So we'll see. We'll see if it happens.
So then, on that note, Kate, what kind of advice would you have for the younger generation? Maybe just getting into the industry, or looking to get into the industry.
Push.
Yeah.
Always just keep pushing. So if there's something that you think should be challenged, challenge it, go for it. But don't, I don't want to say that flippantly, like do your work that is required to make
Yeah.
the change. You have to be willing to not just say, I wish you would design this way, I wish you would want no parking in your, you have to show them how it works, you have to educate, you have to advocate, you have to design smartly, you have to provide innovation, you have to be willing to compromise to get to the steps that you're pushing towards. But I think if we're not, don't wait for somebody else to question something. I think that's I sort of, you ask the younger, I'm like, I wish I'm still the younger generation. I think we're middle.
I think we're middle.
yeah,
I think we're middle.
we're
You
middle.
can stay there.
So but it would be, I think you don't wait for somebody else to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. It's all about framing, right?
Yeah.
Seems
Somehow, and don't be,
you can't be too aggressive,
no,
but you got to understand. You got to be able to understand who you're working with and what you're working towards, and help them get to the same page as you do.
totally. And so it takes education, it takes whatever. We say it's called defining the problem bigger than like in expanding the definition of the problem. So somebody shows up with a need for a project, that need is core to it. But if we just stay at that core, then we're just going to build 20 units on, for X amount of dollars.
Right.
Okay, yes, you have to do that, but can you define the project bigger?
Right.
And sort of what are can we add some community needs? Can we add some green space? Can we what can we without changing the core? So I don't know if we can define the project bigger in a way that benefits us all.
Right.
Sounding like a communist here, but anyway.
You're just trying to look out for the best.
Yeah,
a little bit, right?
It can be done. Hey, and I said profit stays. Like the private developer needs to make their money. We run a business.
Absolutely.
We're not questioning any of that stuff, but we actually think we can do more with what we're spending and what we're so.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Cool.
So then, just in closing here, looking back on what you've accomplished and the projects you've worked on, what's your most memorable moment, or a memorable moment from something you've worked on in the past?
We were just talking to somebody, and it was interesting. They attributed it to the end user. So you have a client you do a project for, and they achieve their outcomes.
Right.
But if you take it that next step and find out if their end user or their client actually is using it the way you intended to, or did it have the impact that you sort of thought? I'll give one quick story on a project that we did in downtown Winnipeg, and it's sort of everybody kind of thought it was crazy. We have these little jewel box kind of balconies that hang off the side of a building, and the contractor's like, "There's no way we're building that." The owner said, "I can't. It's not going to work," and somehow we convinced them to do it. And the day that they all got craned in, and so this old heritage building has these weird cantilevered boxes just hanging off of it, and all the contractors on the site just stopped everything, and they came out and sat on these balconies all over this facade and got it. Like, they totally got it. What a moment! Like, what this will do for this building and for this city. And it was just the most redeeming sort of
Bit of an
moment.
aha.
Yeah. And it was for us too. Like, we're nervous. Like, holy crap! Like, we've sold this.
Yeah.
All this is happening, and then to see that really quick, almost immediate, it works was really cool.
Super rewarding.
Yeah.
Awesome, Colin.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for sitting down with me today. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
Take care.